We will now cover the changes for invoicing ACC services. To start off with, we will discuss the annotation of purchase order numbers. So the invoice annotation pop-up screen is on the invoice screen. So Module, Accounts, and New Invoice, or F9. And you'll see here you can annotate the invoice. This is when you can use this screen to put a purchase order number in if it's required for a service. So that'll be sent as an invoice comment to ACC. You need to make sure that the number is entered as a purchase order number, like so. Moving on, we will talk about the staff setup menu. So in the staff setup menu, choose your staff member, and under their income tab, you will see their GST number. This GST number will be sent with the ACC invoices, but ACC will only allow 8 or 9 digits, and all special characters will be removed automatically before being submitted to ACC. So there's nothing else you need to do on this screen. We will now talk a little bit about the claims grouped by ACC vendor ID and contract number. An ACC invoice claim file will be generated for each unique ACC vendor ID and contract number combination. When the claim is grouped together after a claim finalization, each ACC service will be grouped together based on the ACC vendor ID associated with the income provider in the invoice screen and contract number associated with the services. The rules to group claims under a combination of ACC vendor ID and contract numbers for each ACC service claim are based on the following parameters. During claims finalization for ACC services, ACC vendor ID is determined based on the income provider's ACC vendor ID available under their staff setup. If that's unavailable, the ACC vendor ID in the location setup is used for this. Similarly, if the ACC service has an associated non-regulatory contract number, this will be utilised. If this is not available, the regulatory contract number will be associated for the service based on the income provider invoicing for the service. We will now talk a little bit about determining the income and service provider for a claim file. So to do this, we'll open the Account Holder Account screen, Module, Accounts, Account Holder Account. The Account Holder Account screen displays the list of invoice claims. Double-clicking on each claim will open the View Claims screen, where you will see each individual invoice line item under each claim is displayed. The income and service providers displayed in the View Claims screen for each invoice line items can be identified from the invoice. However, determining the service and income providers to display for each claim file under the Account Holder Account screen is not easy. If the service and income providers cannot be determined at the claim file level, then there will be problems during claims reconciliation, and the income and payment reports will display the provider as #SYS. To avoid this, a new ACC e-schedule claims format section has been introduced in the location settings. So go to Setup, Location, Location Settings, and under the Codes and Defaults tab here, you will see the ACC e-schedule claims format section. This section allows the selection of either practice grouping or provider grouping for ACC invoices that will then determine the identification of income and service providers for the claim file, as well as the type of grouping required for those claim files. If you choose provider grouping, the selection of the income provider to be displayed for the main ACC invoice claim file will be from the income provider available in the invoice. The service provider will be obtained from the default service provider configured for this location. The invoices will be grouped under the ACC vendor ID and contract number combination of the invoice income provider, and all invoices for one income provider will be grouped together as per the provider. Practice grouping is only applicable to existing ACC e-schedule enabled practices. With this option, the selection of the income provider to be displayed for the main ACC invoice claim file will be from the default income provider available in the location setup. The service provider will be obtained from the default service provider available in the location setup, and the ACC vendor ID will also be in the location setup. For income providers with the same ACC provider type or contract, their invoices will be grouped under the same ACC vendor ID and contract number combination. Please remember, if your practice has not been enabled for ACC eSchedule, then you need to ensure that provider-based grouping is selected in the location setup to group ACC invoices correctly for your practice. Now we will talk more about this account holder account screen. So claims will now be grouped based on the ACC vendor ID of the income provider. ACC invoice details for each income provider can be viewed by searching for the specific ACC vendor ID account holder account and then opening this screen. After finalizing claims and viewing the account holder account screen, the description field here will display the vendor ID and contract number where applicable. For ACC eSchedule enabled practices, there will potentially be claims from multiple providers under each claim file. If the invoice claim is for ACC services, then when you open to the View Claims screen, under the Claim Header section here, the provider and income provider fields will be hidden, and in their place will be the ACC vendor ID and the contract number. These will be uneditable and display only. The service and income provider details will instead be shown under the claim details as new columns in the grid. To filter the claim service provider and income provider, drop-down fields have been added here. To identify each claim within the claim file, a schedule line item column number titled SCH number representing each claim has been added in the claim details grid. There are no changes to the unfinalized claim, transfer to patient and transfer to account functions. Now we will talk about invoicing claims. The transfer of ACC claim files to ACC is manually performed from a module titled Electronic eSchedule Claims, ACC 47E. This is found under Tools, Message Transfer, and there. Progress is displayed in the Unload screen and will clearly state if the invoice has been accepted or rejected. For each claim file processed by the ACC eGateway, a response message is received indicating success or rejection and is available in the claim status screen, which is found here from Module, Accidents and Claim Status. If you click on the Auto Preview Error Details icon, you will get further information at the bottom half of the screen as to why this has been rejected. The claims in this screen will display chronologically by the Date Sent column, with the latest claim on top and the oldest on the bottom.